Good morning. I can't tell you how good it feels to see you walk in the door on Sunday mornings and for us to be together in worship. I always loved it, but when the pandemic came and I was mostly talking in an empty room to a camera, it was just so unsatisfactory. And so thank you so much for the gift of your presence. It's so good to see the room beginning to fill up again and again, more and more every Sunday. We're coming back, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So I have a question. Who here knows where in this room we have put the time capsule? And when, not only that, when was it put and when are we opening it? All right, I'll tell you. Look back there to the fire extinguisher, and underneath that, in April of 1998, we put a time capsule. We put it there probably because you can pull out the fire extinguisher and reach down and get the time capsule, but we're just 26 years away from opening it. in 2048, and since people forget about the time capsule, periodically I remind you that it's there so that in 2048, somebody will remember. So could we get a volunteer this morning for somebody to be here April 2048 to remind people? Okay, thank you, Egan. We've got you, brother. We're counting on it. Welcome. Just a little bit of fun. Welcome to this. Now we all know where the time capsule is. Hardly anybody knew, but now we all know. We all share this precious memory. And welcome to this house that holds so many precious memories, and where new life plants the seed for fond memories that will be cherished in days to come. And so, oh gosh, so good to see Lorraine here too. What a great joy. Today is a beautiful day to make a beautiful future memories worthy of a place in the time capsules of our hearts. Why don't you take just a second to greet one another, about a minute, and I'll ring the bell, but this is just an appetizer for the fellowship hour, just so we get a chance to connect and look around and greet one another for just a minute.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Let's get together for our gathering hymn. You may stand in body or spirit. It's number 350 in the gray hymnal, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time.
The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check or stay. We'll view the past with no regret, nor future with dismay. The present slips in
Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. Please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Passion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship. Nurture the hopes and serve the needs of our world.
Service is the Heroes Gates
Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the heart's secret places. Blessed is the heart with strength to stop its beating for honor's sake. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Each week, we light 3 chalices. The first is for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem, Oregon. We light our second chalice for our friends in our partner church in Šimenfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in our religious education program and for all the children of the world. Please join us as we sing the flame into light.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Good morning. Can everybody young or young at heart please join me up front here for a story? All right. Hello. Hello, hello. Yeah. This is what we love to see. Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Today we are wearing indigo, and it represents insisting on a peaceful and free world for all. So I'm reading a story. It's called Ada Twist, Scientist. Okay. Ada Marie, said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound in sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and she simply asked, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up inside of your nose?" She started with why, and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Her parents came up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, what is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? How does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? And she rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true: the terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then, zowie! The stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" She's putting the cat by the washer. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair, now, by the time we count 3. "Enough," said her mother. "That's it," said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. "Why?" Ada questioned. Her mother said, "No." "What?" Ada queried. Her father said, "Go." "You've ruined your supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think." She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and Stu and the cat, and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2. And each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. The walls are completely covered with her crayons. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." And that's what they did, because that's what you do. When your kid has a passion and a heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asked lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do? But learn all she can with her friends in grade 2. Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question, and someday, who knows? Okay. Thank you. I had an announcement to make before we head out. Sunday, April 17th, we're doing a community Easter egg hunt here. We're going to hide eggs in the forest for the kids to find, and there's going to be crafts, and our pig Dottie's going to be here, and it's going to be a great time. So please join us. Okay, if everybody can stand in the center to make the love arch, we'll be on our way. Thank you.
Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you. Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you.
So nice to see so many young ones here. Puts me in a good space. I invite you now to take a deep breath and just be in this moment of time and feeling the deeper and the truer rhythms of your life, getting in touch with the truer feelings, the truer ideals and purposes for our lives. I'm in downtown and I see a young man shuffling erratically down the street. Just like all of us, he's living in response to the reality his perceptions, his cognitive and mental condition presents to him. The reality he perceives is different from the common reality that most of us share. He's in a different world, his own world, but it's the world where he finds himself. And we call this condition mental illness. Yet this label, it distances, it denigrates, it diminishes. My heart especially aches for young men like this who are trapped in isolation. My heart aches for the unique challenges that they face, that all of us face with mental illness. Mental illness, it afflicts us all to some degree and touches all our lives. And let us therefore remember always to be compassionate, understanding, accepting, and affirming with one another as we find our way together. For compassion for ourselves and others is our way. And gratitude is also our path, the path of gratitude. My good colleague, Kate Braystrup, writes, "But then a grateful heart beats in a world of miracles. And if I could only speak one prayer for you, my children, it would be that your hearts would not only beat, but grow ever greater in gratitude. And that your lives, however long they prove to be, and no matter how they end, continue to bring miracles and abundance." Let us be aware of the abundance within our lives. Let us feel the gratitude, for that is our path, the path of awareness and gratitude and compassion. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Lorna Youngs with Lifelines Lay Ministry. I have to remember there's about a foot of difference between me and the Rev. Good morning. I'm Lorna Youngs with Lifelines Lay Ministry, here to tell you about the joys and concerns that have been posted with us. And if you want to share a joy and concern, go to our website, click on the button, Joys and Concerns, and that'll take you to a page that allows you to fill in what you need to fill in. Today we have a couple of concerns, one from the Joys and Concerns page and one written in our book, which is also another way in which you can share your joys and concerns when you come into church in the morning. We have a black book in the front where you can write your joy and concern. I'll read the first one from the book, which is a concern and a combination with the joy from Carolyn Patterson. There was a beautiful ceremony for the 4 homeless that died by a drunken driver. Keep them in mind. They are broken. They are heartbroken. And we have a second concern, and that's from Bob and Cindy Francis. Bob and I have sad news, writes Cindy. Cindy has been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer with metastasis to the liver. It's early days yet, and there's lots of unknowns. A liver biopsy is scheduled with DNA testing of the liver tumors and Cindy's DNA to help fine-tune the chemo treatments. The chemo treatment is focused on shrinking the tumors, which will lessen the pain and improve quality of life. This will probably give Cindy 16 to 18 months. Please keep us in your thoughts and send positive energies their way. And I have a joy, and it's my own joy, and it is, well, it's one for seeing all the children up front today and seeing all of you and seeing some of you I know who came from just a few weeks ago, some illness or serious break or serious surgery, and you are here today with us in our beloved community. So if you want to contact Lifelines, just send a email to lifelineslayministry.com or call the office. And thank you.
Number 315 in the gray hymnal. Please stay seated.
This old world is full of sorrow, full of sickness, weak and sore. If you love your neighbor truly, love will come to you the more. We're all children of
Thanks again for that incredible music. Thank you for the regular music that we have, and Guy, what a dynamic performance that was. Performance or offering, I'm so grateful. I'm glad I met you. Over the years, I've met tons of people. Indeed, the collective weight of all the people that I've met in my life would be many times. I did the math. It only takes about a dozen adult Americans, average weight 181, to collectively tip the scales at 2,000 pounds, 1 ton. So if you're ever at a party and there's about 36 people and somebody asks, how many people were there? You can say, there were about 3 tons of them, if you like. Anyway, trust me when I say that I've met tons of people in my life. So have we all. But one of the very lightest of these folks that I met in my life nevertheless weighs heavy in my heart. His name was Earl. He was a skinny kid. I first met him when I was 10 years old while I was living in Columbus, Georgia. Earl was the son of a Pentecostal preacher. I never actually met his dad. And Earl was a year older than me. It was a very interesting, exciting guy to hang out with. He really knew his way around in ways that I didn't. And time spent with him was always exciting, always an adventure. But after a time, some of the adventures he was leading me on, I began to notice that we were breaking some rules. We were breaking some rules, like that afternoon that we broke into the elementary school cafeteria one Saturday afternoon when no one was there, and we opened up some cans of food and helped ourselves. I never would have done that on my own. And I hope there's enough time distance between the crime and today that you won't report me and I won't have to face the consequences for this, but I did it. I would never have done that on my own. But I could see quite clearly Earl was taking me down a path that didn't lead to good places. Now, somehow and for reasons I no longer remember, Earl and I hatched a plot. We were going to run away from home. This I do remember. Things weren't particularly happy at home, and so running away from home seemed like a good option for me. Things were never that happy in my household, I'm sorry, when I was growing up, but I just wanted to run away. I had tried, actually, to run away a few years earlier when I was 6 years old, but that plot had failed miserably, and I had had to face unpleasant consequences. This time I was older and wiser, and I knew that making a break for it would involve some good planning. So Earl and I began saving whatever money we could, lunch money, the meager allowance that I got. We also purchased some fishing line and hooks and other stuff from the Army surplus store so we could live off the land. Beyond that, I actually had no clue as to where we were going to go and what we planned to do for the rest of our lives. I didn't know that. The time to flee drew near. We had agreed on the day when we would make our break for it, and then just a day or two before, Earl gave me the bad news. All the money we had been saving and all our supplies, which had been placed in his safekeeping, had been stolen. So much for that plan. Well, actually, that was Earl's plan all along, since he was the one who actually stole this money. I'm quite certain. It was just a racket. I already knew he was a thief, but somehow it didn't occur to me that putting my share of the money in his hands was foolish at best. Why did he have to hold on to the money anyway? It doesn't take that much volume, but he convinced me that that was a good plan. In truth, I'm sorry to say that I think this poor boy had a psychopathic personality. Just a few days before we were going to make our break for it, I saw him shoot a dog with his BB rifle, and he took pleasure in watching it yelp in pain, and I did not like seeing that. And in truth, I was glad I now had an excuse for not running away with this morally damaged boy who, I'm afraid, has probably not gone on to good things in his life. Sad to say. I can't imagine it going in a good direction for this kid, though. But as for me, I was back at home, back where I had started. That's life. Even if you run away, there you are. You can't run away from yourself. You can run away from circumstances that cause you unnecessary pain, and in that case, there's actually a good argument to be made for running away if it takes you to a better place, if it really does. Later in life, as a very young man, I ran away from one place to another. I hitchhiked across the country to come out west for the first time, and it was a good thing. It was a good thing. It gave me a chance to begin life on my own terms. So running away, it's not always bad. It's not all bad. But there are those things you can't run away from, no matter where you go. You'll be no more successful than if you try to outrun your shadow, because you carry it inside yourself. And so the question is posed, what is it that you're running from? Everybody, I think, runs from something one way or another at some time or another. There's pain. Gosh, I run from pain. Sorrow, regret, fear of failure, grief, feeling your grief, fear of commitment. There's all sorts of things that we run away from. The list is longer than we have time to go through. But whatever you're running away from, if you are running away, and it can be hard to recognize if you're running away, if that's all you've ever done, and that's the norm. If you are, though, running away, ultimately, the impulse to do so, to run away, traces back to the fact that you're mortal. You're going to die someday, not today, please. And the same is true for everyone you know and love. And it's painful. It stirs up fears and sorrows, and it's very tempting to run away into the lands of perpetual distraction, where I've spent much time. The Victorian poet Francis Thompson spoke about running away. He was running away. He was a Christian, so he considers himself to be running away from Christ consciousness, but it's a very universal poem, running away from something. And Francis Thompson writes, I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my own mind. And in the midst of tears, I hid from him. We're very clever and determined when we're trying to run away from something. And what a universal impulse it is to run away and hide from the hard, the scary stuff of life. And yet at some point, you just get tired and you realize it's not going to work anymore. And so we gather in community to reflect on such matters that it's too hard to face on your own. That's one of the key purposes for a religious community, for mutual support, for encouragement and deepening our understanding. The late Unitarian Universalist minister Forrest Church said that religion is the human response to being alive and having to die. Religion is the human response to being alive and having to die. And we come here to ponder such questions. Such questions as, how shall we live and how shall we face our mortality? How shall we deal with all those things that challenge and frighten and disturb and discombobulate us? How shall we deal with them? The first step, or non-step, is to stop running away from these things, whatever they might be. Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield notes that if you're trying to run away, there's something hard or unpleasant or sad or painful that's going on for you, and that you should, first of all, have compassion for yourself. Have compassion for yourself. Not chastise or judge yourself for wanting to run away. Just have compassion for that part of you that wants to run away because it's hard for you to face it, whatever it might be. Have compassion for yourself. Self-compassion. What's that? What's that? It's a notion that's grounded in the fundamental teaching of the Buddha proclaimed, you can search the whole tenfold universe and not find a single being more worthy of love and compassion than the one seated here, yourself. You can search the whole tenfold universe and not find a single being more worthy of love and compassion than the one seated here, yourself. Let that soak in. So often, we're reminded, I remind you to have compassion for others, but compassion for yourself? It's out of the norm because in our culture, self-loathing is the norm, the feeling that you're not worthy of compassion. But here's a question you shouldn't run away from. Why exactly is it that you are not worthy of the same compassion you feel for others? Why is that? Why would that be? It's good to spend time with that question because the answer is liberating. It's liberating. Once you look deeply into the matter, you realize there is no valid reason that you shouldn't feel compassion for yourself because you have an inherent worth and dignity, and yet somehow, normally compassionate people often fail to see that and will have compassion for others, but only loathing for themselves. It's even promoted as some kind of a virtue, being hard on yourself. So, to jumpstart self-compassion, it's recommended, here's how you do it. You think of what you would say to a dear friend who's going through what you're going through. Think of what you would say to that person who's going through what you're going through. And then you direct those responses to yourself inwardly. Self-compassion is a bit of a hard sell in our society because it becomes off sounding kind of like self-indulgence or weakness. And in response to such misgivings, Cornfield notes that, in fact, self-compassion gives you the strength to carry the lamp through your darkest nights. Self-compassion gives you the strength to carry the lamp through your darkest nights. And furthermore, he writes, self-compassion enables you to learn how to connect with the sufferings and the sorrows of those around you. Because as you become more empathetic to yourself, it helps you be more empathetic towards other people. And paradoxically, having compassion for that part of yourself that wants to run away helps you accept your situation and not struggle and try so hard to flee, not to run away. But run away from what? I don't know what you are running from, if you are running from something, and oftentimes you won't know either until you stop and face it. But here's the problem. Sorry, you're not strong enough. You don't have what it takes to face what you have to face. You're going to crumble, you're going to fold, you're going to choke under pressure. That's for sure. Well, it's not for sure at all, but that's the script, the narrative you probably tell yourself, because that's what most people tell themselves, that you don't have what it takes. You can't face that challenge, that struggle. It's too much. Just as many of us have deep-seated doubts about our own self-worth and dignity, so too do many of us. Well, I say many people, many this or that. I'm saying I share this quality. Maybe you do too. Have doubts about our self-worth and dignity, but most of us also harbor doubts about our ability to withstand the hard realities that will confront us all at one point or another. But in truth, our self-conceptions, our ideas about ourselves, who we are, tends to be quite limited to the shallow depths of our conscious mind, while underneath lie reservoirs of strength and support that you will discover when you need them. In times of stress and strife, you forget that you're not some isolated speck of dust in the void. You are the heir of countless generations of those before you, all those individuals who carried the lamp of humanity through scary and difficult times from one generation to the next. You are the heir of that resilience and strength. Then, too, it's my personal spiritual conviction, and the conviction of many, that there is more to you than just you. As I said, you're not some isolated entity that somehow sprang into existence out of nothing and you're destined to return to nothingness. According to the wisdom traditions, you are a manifestation of infinite being. Or as the Sufi mystic Rumi put it, you're not a drop in the ocean, you're the ocean in a drop. You're not a drop in the ocean, you're the ocean in a drop. Or as they say in the Hindu Upanishads, ancient sacred text, Tattvamasi, that thou art. Your true identity is infinite being. It's greater than anything you could ever imagine. And that's my faith. It is. I don't know what yours is. But finally, whatever our faiths, whatever our understandings of our lives and who we are and the purposes of our lives, there comes a point in the spiritual journey when you realize that you get robbed, when you choose to run away again and again from the present moment. This steals you away from life, your one precious life. And so you settle more and more fully into the moment, day by day, embodying what the theologian Paul Tillich called the courage to be. The courage to be. Courage to be a human being in this world. The courage to be. And having the courage to be, you open yourself to life and you say, here I am. Here I am. And here we are. Would you join me for a moment of reflection? Spiritual reflection, prayer, meditation. All of us walk our own unique paths in life. The challenges we face are unique but universal. Even as you walk alone, know that others have walked alone before you and found their way too. The way often seems difficult and challenging and heartbreaking, overwhelming. And yet we stay present and aware and grounded. And we discover that there is more to us. There's more to our lives than we ever imagined. There's a deep strength that we find. There's a deep love and a deep peace and a deep joy that lies ahead as we walk this path. Let us not lose faith. Let us not lose faith as we continue onward, moment by moment. Amen.
So this is where I don't have a script, so forgive me. The Share the Plate recipient this month is the Minister's Discretionary Fund. You know, we've all known people who, through troubling times, have had difficulty meeting their rent or paying their gas bill, and especially now, our gas bill for our automobiles. Or maybe paying for childcare, which has just become so incredibly expensive. Being the congregation we are, I know that we all will reach out and help however we can. And fortunately, we have the Minister's Discretionary Fund, and when we contribute to that, Reverend Rick does have the discretion to be able to give to these folks who are in such dire need. And we just thank you so much and thank the board for, allowing this to happen. So please open your hearts today. We also contribute to the Marion Pope Food Share, and they have just done a phenomenal job, and they are very, very grateful to any contribution that we give. We thank you for your kind generosity.
I think they liked it, Guy. I think they liked it. Just started taking lessons last month. He's incredible. Just amazing progress. No, he actually went to Eastman School of Music and has studied, and we're so grateful for your sharing your gift with us, Guy. It's a great gift. And I am so grateful to the microfinance team. What an amazing, come on up here, Ann. Oh, there you are. What an amazing team they've been since they formed, how many years ago? 12 years ago. You cannot believe all the good things that our microfinances team has done around the world. It's just awesome. And so I am happy to invite Ann Hannes up there, chair of the microfinance team, to tell us about the latest fundraiser. So thanks for the good work. You've been in Laos, Nicaragua, Peru, India and Kenya. Man, they're getting all over the place. All right, come on up here. You belong here now.
I hope you'll join us at the end of the service for the sale of items that we've partnered with Basha, who's an organization that has given refuge to women that have been victims of sex trafficking. And they provide shelter, health care, food, fair wages, and counseling to them. And the items that you'll see, many of them are from recycled saris. They're gorgeous. You can buy silk scarves like this one. We invite you to come and check out what we have and buy. And a portion of the sales also goes to our microfinance projects as well as benefits Basha. And Basha is actually a local organization that is sponsored by the Mennonite Church here in Salem. Thank you. Oh, and it's also next week, Sunday, as well as this week.
That's great. Hope you patronize the microfinance team. We'll be here next Sunday and every Sunday after that too, at least until 2048 when we open the time capsule, probably longer than that too. So please do check out our website so you can get the current information about all the programs and activities that we have going on here in this congregation. Today we have a class that started, and if you haven't registered, I think you're going to have to wait for the next one, but I'm looking forward to that, and it's an opportunity for people to explore the path to membership in this congregation. So please do check out the website. There's lots going on all the time here, and we're always delighted to have you participate in it. So thank you.
Each week we light a social justice candle to remember all of the many ways, large and small, that we contribute to social justice in this world. And we extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please join me in singing the closing hymn, 288 in the gray hymnal, All Our Architects. Please stand in body or spirit.
All our architects of fate, working in these walls of time, some with massive deeds and great, some with ornaments of rhyme. For the structure that we raise, time is with materials filled, ours today and yesterdays are the blocks with which we build. Build today then strong and sure, with a firm and ample base, and
And now, if you'll please join with me in saying our closing words. May faith in the Spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come. Blessed be.